Hey everyone, this is Dara. I'm a gender therapist in Colorado, and many of you know that I have a book that was just published. It's called You and Your Gender Identity, A Guide to Discovery. And I thought I would take a chance to introduce you a little bit closer to the book. Some of you might have been to the website that I created, and it's discoveryourgenderidentity.com. And you may have taken a look at what is going on the website. You might have watched the video that I have about the reasons that I decided to write the book, but you still might not be sure whether or not this is the type of book that would work for you. So I wanted to give you some insight into it. So I have the book here. So as you can see, it's pretty large. It is actually 263 pages. And so the book itself is divided up into 3 sections, and I call them stages. And so stage 1 is preparation, in which you prepare for what I call the gender identity journey. So it's you going on this journey to discover your gender identity. And so the first, that takes you through the first 78 pages. And what it looks like is, for instance, there is a chapter here. I'll hold it up for you. So this says, Chapter 2, hold on, this is nerve-wracking. So it's talking about the different fears that come up for people when they're doing something like exploring their gender identity. And so what happens is that there's a little description, some talking about what your fears are, and then there are exercises that then come in here. So see the little hand? It looks like it's holding a pen or a pencil. So every time something comes up that you are supposed to think about and write down, that is the part in the book where it tells you to do that. And so what I suggest is that you get either a notebook that you can write in to keep track of your answers, or if for some people who like to use technology, you can use your computer or a tablet or something like that. And the other thing that you can use is I created a workbook. And the workbook comes for free with the book if you order it through my website. Now, it's a PDF, which means it is not a hard copy. It's an electronic version of the workbook, and I email it to you. And then what you can do is print it out on your printer, or here's something that I did that I think turned out pretty cool, is I took it to an office supply store. So this is the workbook, as you can see. And again, pretty sizable here. And I had an office supply store print it front and back. See, so you can see like that. And then I had them bind it like this. And then I had them put a little glossy cover and then this black cover on the back. And this works really cool as a workbook. So you can see that has all the questions and all the blank lines, and it's labeled from chapter to chapter so that you can stay organized. Now, just to let you know, to have this printed at an office supply store, it was about $22. And so just wanted to make sure that you know ahead of time there is a little bit of a cost involved to get this printed out. You could also just print it out at your home, and then you could maybe print out certain sections at a time so that you could like maybe staple it or put it in a folder or do like a hole puncher and put it in a binder. You can do that too if you have access to a printer to be able to print this out. So, but like I said, even if you don't want to do that, you can just get a blank notebook or a sketch pad or use something on your computer to keep track of your answers. So now let's get back to the book. So after you go through the first stage, which is preparation, preparing you for your journey, the second stage is called reflection. And reflection means that you're going to be reflecting back on your childhood and your adolescent and teenager years. And so if you get this book and you are already a teenager and you won't necessarily be looking back on those years, you're actually experiencing the years right now, that's okay. You can answer the questions with how you feel right now about what you're going through. And the reason that you're going to do reflecting is because it's going to help point out little hints and clues that you might have buried down or forgotten about that gives you an idea about your true gender identity. So going through these exercises again, there's questions about what was puberty like for you, what was socializing like for you during those years. We also talk about how you can end up feeling shame and guilt for just who you are as a person, and being afraid that who you really are might end up hurting others. We work through exercises to help you manage those feelings. So then you move into stage 3, which is exploration. Now, exploration is the largest part of this book. It's like 100 pages of this book. And that's because there is a lot to explore when it comes to your gender identity. And so some of the things that we do is we break it down into smaller parts so that it's easier for you to digest and look at. It can be very overwhelming to try to look at your gender identity, and it's just so huge and big that you can break it down into smaller parts, and that way it becomes easier to understand, and then you bring it all back together into a big picture of yourself. We deconstruct gender. That's something that it's a very educational part of the book, in which I talk about the ways that you can explore your gender identity and that you might not have thought of before, such as exploring non-binary gender identity, not labeling yourself a certain way if you're not comfortable with it. What are the different options when it comes to your gender identity? Those kind of things. I also make sure that you have a way to find others to connect with. And so here's that chapter. We get into how you can connect with people online, and also how you can connect with people in person, because that's really important that you use those resources to help you through something like this. Let's see. So then we take a specific look at your discomfort socially, physically, and mentally and emotionally with your gender identity. And there's some exercises there about that. I talked to you about how you can listen to your gut. Like, a lot of times we can be too logical and trying to figure things out about ourselves, and how you need to learn how to be able to quiet the mind sometimes and bring your gut in to help you figure things out. I talk about masculine and feminine energy and how that's separate from gender identity. I mean, it makes up who you are as a person as a whole, but it's also something that we can look at separately. And so you can understand more about that masculine and feminine energy within you, and bring it back into the big picture afterwards. So the book, and also there's some tools that you can use to help you through the gender identity journey that I specifically mentioned. And then there's a section here about conducting tests and experiments. So what that means is you actually doing things to be able to see if you end up feeling better or more comfortable when it comes to your gender identity. And so there's a lot of really specific instructions here about how you can do that. Like, for instance, I mentioned about how you can change certain things about yourself to see if it makes you feel better. And I have a big checklist here about all the different things you can change. Some of these are physical appearance. Some of them have to do with doing so privately. Some of them have to do with doing so publicly. And so, there's a lot there that can help you move forward in that way. So at the very end, there's a chapter called Putting It All Together. And that's my goal, is that by the time you finish this book and you go through it, you'll have all this information about yourself, and then you're going to organize it at the end, and you're going to come up with some answers that are going to make sense for you. So I really specifically walk you through the process of putting together your gender identity in your own words, and I walk you through how you can do that. I walk you through, like, there's this big list of gender identities and different ways people can describe your gender identity. I talk about how you might have certain ways you want to describe your gender identity, and then there might be ways that you want to tell others about your gender identity. So, for instance, how would you tell your friends and family about it? How would you tell acquaintances? How would you tell people at work? How would you tell medical and mental health professionals? So because it can be different with different people, especially earlier in your journey, middle way through your journey, more towards completion of your journey, that kind of thing. And so, and then pretty much at the end, I have a few additional resources to help you out, because if you come to some conclusions about your gender identity, you're then left with another question, which is, what do I do now? And so, of course, obviously, that could be another whole book written about that. But I do offer some ideas here about some additional resources you can follow up on. So that is a bit of a synopsis about what the book's about. So if you're interested, again, the website is discoveryourgenderidentity.com. You can get it in this printed form. You can also get it as an ebook. I have a lot of people overseas, meaning outside of the United States, who are ordering this as an ebook so they don't have to pay for shipping. And so that's all. And like I said, you get the workbook not like printed, but as an ebook, as a PDF. You'll get this emailed to you, and then you can print it out on your printer or at an office supply store if you decide to use it in that way. So anyway, I am really excited that the book is finally out for you to work through, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. So you can hit me up in the comments below, or you can contact me through that website that I mentioned where you can buy the book. So awesome. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.